When it comes to holiday classics, there's only one that taught us the beauty of leg lamps, never to swear in front of your parents, and that a BB gun was sure to shoot your eye out.
Everything about the movie is timeless.
Because we've all had that Red Ryder in our lives.
Anytime it's the holidays, A Christmas Story's on.
And we're catching up with this cast of characters as they share never-before-seen photos and set secrets.
No, I did not really stick my tongue to the pole.
Reveal how the film phenomenon forever changed their lives.
It's very special to say that I was a part of something that people worldwide really love.
Find out what they're up to today.
And it's just a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Visit the house where it all began.
Welcome on into Ralphie and Randy's home.
And how Ralphie is bringing the flick to the stage for a whole new generation.
It's been more fun than I ever dreamed it would be.
'Tis the season. This is the cast of A Christmas Story. Where are they now? On November 18th, 1983, a new holiday movie opens with little fanfare and even less buzz. But since its release nearly 30 years ago, A Christmas Story has become both an annual tradition and one of the best Christmas movies ever.
It really is as good as the other seminal Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life.
And it all started with a boy who only wanted one thing from Santa Claus.
I want an official Red Ryder Carbon Action 200 Rainsbow Arrow.
There are a whole bunch of adorable small town things that happen in the movie, but really the crux of it is what Ralphie wants for Christmas.
The movie takes place in pre-World War II Indiana and starred Peter Billingsley as Ralphie Parker, and his parents were played by veteran character actors Darren McGavin and Melinda Dillon.
I love that they're an imperfect family. The dad's a little bit gruff, the mom's a little bit daffy, a little bit at times, but I love that they're a real family.
The buzz around the set wasn't, this is going to be a hit. The buzz was really just, let's just make this the best movie we possibly can. And if it's good, then it'll be a hit.
But the film's studio, MGM, wasn't ever 100% behind it and opened A Christmas Story on less than 900 screens nationwide.
And realistically, no advertising. They did not want to spend 10 cents to do anything for this movie.
It got very mixed reviews. While the critic Leonard Maltin thought it was a very funny comedy, the New York Times did not like the film at all.
Part of the myth of A Christmas Story, I think, is that it was a flop when it came out. It really wasn't a flop. MGM didn't want to make the movie. They only gave $4.4 million in terms of budget, but it ended up making almost $20 million in its initial run.
But then all of a sudden, it blew up into this crazy huge Christmas staple on television every year.
Then in 1985, it was on HBO. They ran A Christmas Story a few times. People started to watch.
In the late 80s, it moved on to the superstations, WGN, WTBS. This is the beginning of the Warner Brothers family involvement in this film.
In 1997, Turner Networks started showing A Christmas Story as a marathon, starting on Christmas Eve, running all the way through Christmas Day, back to back to back to back. What?
That's when I think it really got into a lot of the households across America, and when people really started realizing, oh my God, this is really a great movie.
I had a friend call me up and said, my daughter won't stop watching your movie. I'm like, well, just, take the tape out of the VCR. What's wrong with you, man? And he goes, no, you don't understand. It's being played 24 hours. They won't stop playing it on television.
If you're a 5-year-old kid, that's you. If you're an adult, that was you. If you're a parent, those are your kids. If you're a grandparent, that was your kids when you were a parent. And you can see your whole life unfolding there.
It's like we're part of their family because they spend the holidays with us every year.
In the early 80s, Peter Billingsley was already a familiar face, starring alongside Burt Reynolds in Paternity, co-hosting of the show Real People, and drinking his chocolate milk as Messy Marvin in Hershey's syrup commercials.
Peter was a combination of sweetness and determination and boyish devilishness.
In 1983, that combination proved the perfect mix to land him the role of Ralphie, the little boy who wanted nothing more than a Red Ryder BB gun in A Christmas Story.
People say, who's your favorite character in the movie? But actually, he is the movie.
He also does just a lot of the visual acting well, because a lot of times he's just there looking like through the window at Higbee's. The look on the face coming down out of the bunny suit.
The scene is classic Billingsley because it's all in the face. Peter Billingsley acted with his face.
In the following years, Billingsley landed roles in The Dirt Bike Kid, Ruskies, and Beverly Hills Brats.
But then, what changed his life is he did a CBS School Break special with Vince Vaughn. And he and Vince Vaughn bonded, and it changed his career.
I first met Vince at a screen test in 1989 for an after-school special. We became good friends.
This union proved to be a powerful one. Kicking off Peter's behind-the-scenes career, the duo, along with pal Jon Favreau, went on to collaborate on numerous projects, including the feature Made, the Emmy-nominated reality series Dinner for Five, and the holiday blockbuster Elf, where Peter paid tribute to his Christmas roots with a cameo appearance as one of Santa's little helpers.
See, buddy, you're not a cotton-headed ninny-muggins. You're just special.
In 2005, he was one of the producers of the movie Zathura, which was directed by his friend Jon Favreau. The following year, he was the executive producer of a movie called The Breakup, which co-starred his other good friend, Vince Vaughn, and, well, maybe you heard of Jennifer Aniston.
And then he was one of the producers of Iron Man with Jon Favreau.
I mean, it doesn't get better to having a credit on Iron Man, which is one of the best superhero movies of all time, starring Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. I mean, that's just a great movie to be a part of.
In 2009, Billingsley donned a director's cap for the comedy Couples Retreat, starring his close friends.
I've known Jason, Vince, Jon Favreau, and Face on Love for years. When you have that funny a group of guys, you prepare really well, and then you kind of step back and you let them be funny.
Having conquered film, Peter branched out. He's a co-producer of A Christmas Story, the musical, currently running on Broadway, and the TBS sitcom Sullivan and Son.
It's no surprise that he took off the way that he did in this business. He really, was one of those kids on the set. He paid attention. He knew what was going on, and he just soaked in all that knowledge.
Ian Petrella, who played Ralphie's adorable little brother Randy, has also been hard at work behind the scenes since filming the Christmas classic. But he always makes time to greet fans at conventions across the country.
These days, basically doing behind-the-scenes production work, anything from camera editing, also do freelance animation.
And it all started about 30 years ago as the cute, bundled-up kid who could barely move in his winter getup.
I can't put my arms down!
Prior to A Christmas Story, I did several commercials and advertisements for television, but it was my first television appearance was on an episode of Chips. So I sold a puppy to Eric Estrada character. So that was my first television show. Then got Christmas Story. How I officially nailed the deal is they sent me to Boston to go do a screen test with Bob Clark, and that was pretty much we just would run around the house, laugh, roll around, stick my face in oatmeal, throw me under a sink, give me a line, and next thing you know, he's like, "You're Randy."
As Ralphie's only sibling, Ian got a chance to bond with actor Peter Billingsley.
Peter and I definitely, developed more of a relationship, and we really just became like brothers on the set. And that's one of those things is, you get along with your brother, and then there are times you don't get along with your brother. So, but also we're just kids. We, learned a lot from Peter at the time, and he was just kind of like my big brother. For that moment.
After A Christmas Story, Ian continued his acting career, guest starring on some of TV's most popular shows.
I still continued on to do commercials, but I probably was on more television. And a lot of just like walk on, playing the friends of friends, on certain shows. And that could go from anywhere from, Different Strokes, Who's the Boss, My Sister Sam. I was even on Beverly Hills 90210. That was my last time on television, actually. That was great. Nice little one-liner. Got to play a friend of Brian Austin Green.
No wonder how much diesel bring to the annual West Beverly auction.
Not as much as a picture of Kelly wearing it.
Now, Ian enjoys spending time with fans and has transitioned into a creative career behind the cameras as a graphic designer and animator.
My basic motivation to move into the production side is just wanted to see what else was out there.
No matter what career move Ian makes, A Christmas Story will always be a big part of his life, just like it is with all the fans he meets.
It's because we've all had that Red Ryder in our lives. We've all had that one thing that we've wanted. And all we want to do is we just want to see that happy ending where we receive it at the end, even though it shoots our eye out.
Still ahead, the fragile moment we can't get enough of.
All he wants in the world is just this kind of sexy and tacky lamp.
Then, see why our favorite flagpole daredevil thought he might not fit the part.
And I go over to Bob and I'm like, are you sure about this?
And later, find out how you can pay a visit to the Parker family home.
We want them to be in Ralphie's house, and just like you're walking into the movie.
All that and more when the cast of A Christmas Story, Where Are They Now? Returns. Welcome back to the cast of A Christmas Story, Where Are They Now? Before she landed the unforgettable role of Ralphie's mom, Melinda Dillon made her mark in Hollywood as another concerned mother in the sci-fi hit Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
She had one of the great roles in one of the most popular movies ever in Hollywood.
She played the mother whose son Barry gets abducted by aliens.
The kid is taken, and when she's trying to tell the police about it, nobody believes her story that the child was taken by the clouds.
They got him.
It's a fierce performance.
So fierce that it earned her her first Academy Award nomination. Her second Oscar nod came in 1981 when she starred in Absence of Malice, alongside Paul Newman, as a woman who must admit to her abortion in order to clear him of a crime.
Only a performer like Melinda Dillon could pull off something that could be so contentious, but you really need to like that woman.
2 years later, she would star in her most notable role as the loving and protective mother in A Christmas Story.
She is really the heart of that movie. She just loves her kids. She's such an idealistic mom. She just has like a warmth and a tenderness about her.
And she was perfect because she was also young and fun and had a great laugh, and she could play with the kids. And then she could feud with her husband, but do it in a way that we all loved her anyway.
She was my first celebrity that, not only got to meet, but pretty much got to work with. The first time that I met her, actually, the Santa Claus scene, when Randy comes down that slide and I'm crying like a big wuss. I was supposed to get up and run over to Mom and I throw my arms around her. We got along great. My mom and her got along as well, so it was just, just a really fun person to be around.
Melinda Dillon, just kind and gentle and quiet, and just one of those people that I would say she should be in every movie ever made, just because her persona is so nice and so wonderful.
In 1987, she landed another family comedy, once again playing the matriarch in Harry and the Hendersons.
Harry and the Hendersons version is kind of daffy and cute and funny and goes back to her Second City roots.
Especially while working opposite Bigfoot.
They take Bigfoot into their home, and of course, he's going through the fridge, and John Lithgow's desperately trying to get him away from the fridge, and Melinda Dillon comes in and is spraying smelly Bigfoot with air freshener, and it's one of the funniest moments in cinema.
What are you doing?
She continued to show off her comedic skills in films like Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, and her dramatic chops in The Prince of Tides and Magnolia.
Her acting career is all over the map in roles that she plays. She's serious, she's funny, she's strict, always very maternal, but doesn't always have to be a mom.
And recently, she stepped away from the Hollywood limelight.
She will come out occasionally to do a role, and she was just in a Steve Carell movie, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. But mostly, she's left Hollywood behind. It's just that Hollywood hasn't left her behind.
He may be known as Ralphie's crazy old man, but veteran actor Darren McGavin was a Hollywood staple long before Ralphie's quest for the Red Ryder BB gun.
Darren McGavin, seasoned actor, more than 200 acting credits to his name. He's a legend.
He just was one of those character actors that really stood out. You wanted to see him on screen, but he certainly was familiar to American television audiences.
Before he was the head of the Parker clan, McGavin was known for his adventures tangling with the paranormal.
He's still probably best known for the TV series Kolchak the Night Stalker. He played a reporter who investigated the occult and The Supernatural.
While he had already achieved success as a working actor, it was his role as Ralphie's old man in A Christmas Story that made McGavin a beloved fan favorite.
Darren McGavin was born to play the role of the old man because he was a stern father, he was a very animated father, but he wasn't a mean father, he was a loving father.
He was a real professional on the set, and when you talk to the actors, they talk about how he was so prepared. He always elevated the scenes that he was in. And as an actor, you really had to rise to his level.
I just remember Darren was just a very professional individual.
McGavin's focus might have been on his performance, but when it came to his character, he only had one thing on his mind.
I love the dad because he's this great dad that's like providing for his family, and all he wants in the world is just this kind of sexy and tacky lamp.
Would you look at that?
I actually knew Darren McGavin. He loved doing it. He had a lot of fun. And he was surprised that it actually didn't do that well when it was first released. But he wasn't surprised that it became quite a classic.
After A Christmas Story, Darren McGavin kept on working in big films. He was in The Natural. It was an uncredited role, but he was on a big movie with Robert Redford.
He had this recurring role in Murphy Brown, which is a multiple Emmy-winning show, and he won an Emmy for his role on the show.
In 1995, McGavin once again played the role of Dad in another comedy classic, the Adam Sandler film, Billy Madison.
Darren McGavin plays his father, who will not let Adam Sandler have any money until he completes more school.
I mean, how could I hand over my company to someone who couldn't even get through school on his own?
I don't know. Don't think about it. Just hand it over.
He was just always a working actor. He never went through a dry spell. He was working up until the end, passed away sadly in April of 2006. He was 83 years old.
Even after his death, McGavin's work in A Christmas Story still lives on for new generations of fans.
He knew what A Christmas Story had become and how popular it was and the legacy, it would leave.
He adds a lot of truth to the film, and Darren McGavin is really an asset to A Christmas Story.
Just ahead, the big break that almost proved to be too big for Ralphie's favorite teacher.
I thought to myself, well, right, I'm going to be in my first big American film, 50 pounds overweight.
Plus, the cast dishes on some of the most memorable scenes.
So everybody asked me, did you really cry? I'm like, yeah, I was a big wuss.
Welcome back to the cast of A Christmas Story. Where are they now? A Frozen Tongue may be his claim to fame, but it was his role opposite two comedic titans in the 1981 funny flick The Toy that made Hollywood take notice of Scott Schwartz.
When I got The Toy, I was old enough, so I knew who Richard Pryor was, I knew who Jackie Gleason was. Richard Pryor, I met him, and I said, Mr. Pryor, it's such a pleasure. He goes, wait a minute, stop that right now. Just call me Richard. Rich, Dick, call me anything you want, I'll answer to it.
Schwartz's performance caught the eye of director Bob Clark, who cast him in A Christmas Story without a formal audition for the unforgettable role of Flick.
When I got the role, I thought I was Ralphie. I wasn't told anything. We go up to Toronto for the read-through. He goes, Scott, you're gonna play Flick. And I went, huh? And I'm like, are you sure about this? He's like, oh yeah, just don't even worry about it. It's not the size of the role, but what you make out of it. Being the smart aleck, the smart ass, that's I think what Bob wanted for it.
Flick's hilariously defiant demeanor was never more evident than in the beloved movie's iconic flagpole scene, and Scott revealed how they made that bit of movie magic, and why they had to do it twice.
Everybody asked me about the scene on the tongue of the flagpole. There's a real flagpole there, but what they did is they painted and made a fake flagpole. And there's a little hole in it the size of basically your pinky nail, with a vacuum cleaner tube, basically a suction. No, I did not really stick my tongue to the pole. They can't do this. Child labor laws.
Come back, come back!
They underdeveloped the film. We have to reshoot the whole thing. So we had to go back out there and shoot the whole thing again. That was the last thing. That ended up being the last scene that I shot.
In the years to follow, the child actor landed the lead in Kidco, and also ventured into television on the ABC after-school special, Summer Switch.
Summer Switch, which was another take on Freaky Friday, basically. The father and the son. And Robert Klein plays my dad. He was great. I'm a comedy guy, you know. So he and I just had a blast.
In '87, Schwartz appeared in the first season of the teen drama 21 Jump Street with the then unknown Johnny Depp.
All of the Jump Streets were 2 stories. So my thing was these 2 kids see a Mac machine being robbed, and we set off an alarm and we go take the money. During the week of 9 days of me being there was my 19th birthday. In Canada, you're allowed to drink at 19. They took me out and got me blasted for my birthday. I get up the next morning, Johnny and Peter, who were out with me all night, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? They're like, oh man, we shouldn't have stayed out so late. I said, well, I had fun.
Knowing full well the nature of showbiz, Schwartz and his father opened a business in the late '80s, which they still share to this day.
So the name of the shop is Baseball Cards and Movie Collectibles. We're in Woodland Hills, California, on Ventura Boulevard. I came out to LA in the beginning of '87. My dad came out at the end of '87. We bought a baseball card store, basically. It was just cards. A little bit of memorabilia, autograph, this and that. I'm here most of the time, 4 to 5 days a week. I do mostly the internet stuff. When he has customers that come in, I help customers.
Despite his break from the limelight, Schwartz has many memorable stories to spill in his soon-to-be-released autobiography.
It's the ups, the downs, the pitfalls, the great times. There's parts of the book that are emotional. When people finish reading the book, they're gonna go, oh my God. That's the reaction I want.
R.D. Robb plays Schwartz, who is Ralphie's best friend in the movie, who triple dog dares Flick to put his tongue on that pole. That is not a good friend.
I triple dog dare you!
And just kind of the look on his face and just the way he sells that line to get Flick to stick his tongue to the pole is it's just well delivered.
R.D. Robb may always be known for that famous dare, but since A Christmas Story, he's dared to keep busy on the big and small screen.
R.D. Robb has done tons of after-school specials for all the networks, NBC, ABC, CBS, R.D. Robb always there.
Through the 90s, R.D. Robb worked on really prestigious shows like ER and Untouched by an Angel, and was actually Charlie in the Brady Bunch movie.
R.D. Robb pops up in 1995 in the Brady Bunch movie, where he plays one of Marcia's suitors. When they are finally on a date, walking up to Marcia's door, he really preciously says, "Can I get a kiss?" And they kiss, and then he's shocked because Marcia has French kissed him.
Marcia, I gotta go. Something suddenly came up.
And we know what that means.
In 2001, Robb stepped behind the scenes and co-wrote and directed the crude and controversial short film Don's Plum, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire, Kevin Connolly, and Jeremy Sisto.
The movie is about guys in an LA diner that are talking about their crappy lives and all their misadventures and cracking jokes.
What's going on? Flying solo tonight, huh, bro? No, bro, I had a couple chicks tonight.
I don't know if the movie's any good or not, and neither do you. None of us have seen it because it was never released in the United States. Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire sued somebody, and now the movie can't be shown theatrically or commercially in the USA or Canada.
Robb seems to enjoy keeping a low profile these days, but stays busy.
R.D. Robb has been really busy in the indie film world, mostly as a producer, on films like April Apocalypse, Triple Dog, and What Goes Up.
He does a lot of screenwriting. He's a stay-at-home dad, and he's really looking to break out in that regard.
Now, it's the essence of acting is that that's what we're doing. We're turning ourselves into somebody else.
Teaching comes naturally to Canadian actress and drama coach Teddy Moore, although movie fans around the world know her by another name.
Good morning, class. Well, I'd worked with the director, Bob Clark, before, and he said, "I've got a part for you." And I said, "Too bad, I'm pregnant." He said, "Oh, don't worry about it." I said, No, I'm really pregnant." And he said, "Well, don't worry about it. We'll put you behind a desk." And I thought to myself, well, right, I'm going to be in my first big American film, 50 pounds overweight, sitting behind a desk. I don't think so.
But thanks to some movie magic, a padded costume was able to disguise that 8-month baby bump. Moore would reprise her role over a decade later for My Summer Story.
My Summer Story was the sequel that Bob decided to do.
Get the book home!
I was the only cast member that was of an age that I could transfer into being in it again and make any kind of sense.
Moore took an extended break from acting to raise a family and pursue other interests, but now she's ready to return to her first love.
I did a film called Mistletoe Over Manhattan for Hallmark where I played Mrs. Claus, and I had a wonderful time. We need a Christmas miracle. I was really a good Mrs. Claus. And you won't be on the naughty list. And then I had the very great privilege of being in the Kennedys, which is a tremendous series.
Moore played Mrs. Shaw, the Kennedys' nanny who helped raise the children while JFK and Jackie were busy building their political empire.
Mr. President?
Where's my wife?
She's in New Orleans, sir. Having lived through the whole period myself, it was pretty remarkable to recreate it.
And she draws on her career in her work as a drama coach, a job that's every bit as rewarding as her on-screen roles.
It keeps me connected to the young people and what's going on in the world. And it keeps me young, I think. I reckon this is the best time of my life ever.
Up next, Indiana's most feared snowball-throwing bully.
Playing Scott Farkas was revenge for all the bullies that used to beat me up.
And later, see how a gag gift gave this entrepreneur a leg up in business.
One day it just kind of dawned on me, I should sell leg lamps.
Welcome back to the cast of A Christmas Story. Where are they now? Every movie needs an antagonist, and that role belonged to Canadian child actor Zack Ward as the bully Scott Farkas.
It was the first time I had worked on a feature film, so I didn't really know what to expect. In one way, it was just another job, but every job when you're a kid is the most exciting thing in the world.
A few years later, Zack was cast in the CBC's adaptation of Anne of Green Gables and the Canadian teen sitcom Boogie's Diner. In the US, he landed guest spots on shows like Party of Five, Nash Bridges, NYPD Blue, Jag, and Walker, Texas Ranger, opposite Chuck Norris.
And I have a scene where I sneak up behind him and I whack him in the head with a branch and I knock him out cold. And as I'm doing this, the entire crew is looking at me like I just kicked a baby. And then his sons, who are also the producers and directors of it, they're like, hey, so you know, you're the first guy to knock Chuck out in like 9 seasons. Everybody was kind of mad at me for that.
In 2000, Zack landed the role of the dim-witted but lovable younger brother, Dave Scoville, on the Fox sitcom Titus.
My favorite episode of Titus was called Tommy's Not Gay. And it starts off, David Chattra, who played the character of Tommy, finding out that his father has come out of the closet and his father is gay. And now he's traumatized. He's like, well, if my dad's gay, that means I'm gay.
I'll settle this.
And I grab Tommy and I put him down on a pool table and I kiss him. I mean, I kiss him good. It had to be like 3 to 5 seconds. And then I finish, I'm like,
You like that? No! And you're not gay!
Titus lasted 3 seasons, and Zack returned to guest star work, including Charmed, Crossing Jordan, Deadwood, Lost, and NCIS. Then his career was transformed.
In Transformers, I get stabbed by Scorponok through the back, through the spine, right in the back, and yanked up and then pulled away and sucked underground, and good times. Good times.
Zack's moved behind the camera as well, having directed a short film called Experimental, and is currently finishing his next project, Last Stop.
Last Stop is a Hitchcock-style thriller with a Tarantino twist. I'm hoping it's coming out next Halloween-ish, because we've done this for under $2 million, and it's just a lot of blood, sweat, and fears.
He's also expanded his business skills outside of showbiz.
We are at the world-famous Dakota Lounge at 1026 Wilshire Boulevard in Santa Monica. I'm one of the investors in the bar. We took it over in 2008. We've had people like Modest Yahoo here. Bruno Mars was playing almost weekly at our place for about 5 months before he got signed. Because I did Transformers, Josh Duhamel and I became really good friends, and then he got engaged to Fergie, so they had their Bachelor Bachelorette here. So we have Fergie, will.i.am, and Kid Rock up on our stage. It was just so cool.
But despite his successful career, Zack knows there's nothing quite like the role he's best known for.
I've done close to 100 movies. I've had 4 TV series. I've done hundreds of guest stars, hundreds of commercials. And I think the only one that's going to be remembered in 20 years is A Christmas Story.
Every bully needs a sidekick, and as Scott Farkus's crummy little toady, Yano Anaya relished in the role of Grover Dill.
It's very special to say that I was a part of something that the American people and people worldwide really love.
After 3 callbacks, Yano actually landed the role of the main bully, but when it came time to shoot, director Bob Clark made a last-minute change.
When Bob saw Zack and I standing next to each other, he realized that it was more appropriate for Zack to be, the main bully because he was bigger, had a kind of a more bullier face. So that's when the roles were switched.
Despite his new role, Yano still relished his scenes as a bully.
The most fun was the one where Zack jumped off of the old vehicle and was tantalizing Peter into beating him up. And my surprise, jumping off of the car as well and coming down, trying to wake Peter up from hurting my friend and then getting hit.
Thanks to his newfound fame, Yano went on to appear in the movie Better Off Dead, where the role of Paperboy allowed him to again channel his inner bully and torment star John Cusack.
There was a lot of paperboys in this movie, and I think because of A Christmas Story, people had categorized me as the main paperboy. Well, unfortunately, I'm not the main paperboy, but I did have a small part in Better Off Dead.
But the real highlight of Yano's showbiz career came courtesy of Van Halen and the music video for their 1984 hit, Hot for Teacher.
Van Halen was the hot group, and I got a job getting paid to work 4 days as Michael Anthony Jr., but I wanted to hang out with the band.
And as soon as he hit the set, Yano tracked down their trailer and lived out his rock star fantasy.
Okay, so I went over there and knocked on the door. And Alex Van Halen opened the door. Hey, my name's Yano, I'm casting Michael Anthony Jr., and I'd love to come hang out with you. So he invited me in, and that's all she wrote.
Yano has long since put his acting days behind him, now focusing his attention on physical fitness.
Currently, we are in Dunwoody, Atlanta, Georgia, and I am here working on a project which is a personal training school, a 6-month program that promotes injury-free training.
Okay, we're going to talk about a negative feedback today, okay, with the hormone called insulin.
But thanks to a chance meeting, Yano has a daily reminder of how A Christmas Story changed his life.
I had a great experience the first convention that Scotty brought me to. That's when I actually got to see the whole process of, doing autograph signings. And fortunately for me, that's when I met my wife.
Both Yano and his wife now work at the Atlanta School of Massage, but he'll never forget what he gained from playing Grover Dill.
From A Christmas Story, I've gained a tremendous amount of positive experiences in my life. So that's another reason why it's so inspirational and so special for me.
Coming up, A Christmas Story takes over Broadway.
It's so much fun. It's been more fun than I ever dreamed it would be.
It's all next when the cast of A Christmas Story, Where Are They Now? Continues. Welcome back to the cast of A Christmas Story, Where Are They Now?
I saw A Christmas Story for the first time in the late 80s. It was hilarious. It was funny, it was heartwarming, it was an instant family favorite.
Entrepreneur Brian Jones loves the holiday favorite so much, he managed to spawn a career from its most unforgettable accessory.
Ever since I was a little kid, wanted to be a pilot. My dad was a pilot in the Navy, so I made it all the way to flight school in Pensacola, Florida, and failed the vision test. I got reassigned to be an intelligence officer, and a package arrives at my condo, and I'm like, okay, I'm not expecting anything, and it's rather odd. It's a wooden crate. I opened it, and it was a leg lamp. I'm like, it's gotta be my parents. It's taken probably about a month to make, and it was my major award for dealing with my life's big disappointment so well, and the hard year I'd had, and just kind of a cheer me up gag gift. One day it just kind of dawned on me, I should sell leg lamps. I formed a little company and started finding all the pieces and parts I needed to make leg lamps. Made and sold, several hundred the first year, and next year started, having them made, professionally, and it just is snowballed.
It may have started with just a leg, but this movie buff's obsession has turned into a full-fledged Christmas Story empire.
Christmas Story house went up for sale on eBay. Emailed the seller and said, I want to buy your house, I'm serious, please call me. We talked the next day, I offered him $150 if he'd sell it to me right then and there. He called me back about 5 minutes later, house was mine. I figured I could save it, I could make a business out of it.
When I had saw that Brian had bought the house, I just knew it was like, this would be perfect. I want to be a part of this. I was working at a historical society. I had my degree in history. He asked if I wanted to run the place. And I was just like, sure, why not? What else am I doing right now? It was mainly overseeing the renovation, trying to get this house to look as it did in the movie. The interiors weren't filmed here. They were done on a soundstage, so we had to kind of bring the soundstage look back into the original house.
We had to move rooms around, shift walls, do this, do that, so the interior looks and feels like the Parker's house did in the movie, so that when you're there, you can relive the movie.
Next up was getting the furniture in there, trying to recreate, the 1930s, 1940s. The idea is we want people to walk in, we want them to be in Ralphie's house, and just like you're walking into the movie.
Opening day of A Christmas Story house beat every expectation I ever had for it. By the time the day was really kicked off, it was 3 or 4 people deep all the way down the block. It was hours to get in. I was happy as could be.
The actors were here. We had Flick and Randy and Scott Farkas and Grover Dill and Miss Shields. They came out onto the porch, greeted the fans, and they're the ones that kind of opened the doors for the fans to come in and enjoy the house. We run tours every half hour for people, for fans of the movie. They come here and we give them a little history of the house.
It's the only house on the street that looks like this with the big wraparound porch, the little side porch for the old man to come running up.
We have a gift shop where people can, purchase, souvenirs, and we have a museum where people can, see the original props and costumes. Randy's snowsuit out there. That's pretty much a permanent display all the time. People love to see that. Seamstress up in Toronto has this huge, gigantic warehouse just full of costumes. She still had the stuff from the Christmas Story.
What's the most rewarding part of revitalizing this piece of cinema history?
It made a lot of fans happy. The people loved the film, and they wanted to see the place where the film, the key location for the film preserved and restored. And basically there's something that people can visit to just relive their favorite movie.
There are a few pieces to the phenomenon of A Christmas Story that even die-hard fans may not be aware of.
Because it became so popular, eventually they got around to making sequels. The first one was in 1994. It was called My Summer Story.
The plot is about Ralphie trying to challenge the main bully at his school in a spinning top competition.
Kids were arriving from all directions. The word had spread. There was a new fast gun in town.
A lot of the performances in the movie are really strong. Kieran Culkin plays Ralphie. Charles Grodin gives kind of a little bit of a weird interpretation of the old man, but Mary Steenburgen is fantastic as the mother.
And then in 2012, almost 30 years after the fact, you have A Christmas Story 2. Daniel Stern plays the role of the old man.
It's a clinker!
The movie went straight to DVD.
Now the fun fact is that Daniel Stern was the voice of older Kevin on The Wonder Years, which directly borrowed that technique from A Christmas Story.
The stage adaptation, A Christmas Story the Musical, is currently running on Broadway through the end of the year, and Peter Billingsley is one of the producers.
He's the authority on the piece. He obviously has a great affection for it. He wants to take care of it. He has such respect for it, and I feel like we are just in the best hands possible with Peter.
It's so much fun. It's been more fun than I ever dreamed it would be.
The ending of the play is much more powerful than the movie. The hardest thing I have to do is at the end of the play is not cry to the point where I can't say the lines.
And the musical has impressed some tough critics.
I really thought it was a terrific material for a musical, and I adored some of the performances, particularly the lady playing me. She was terrific.
They took some chances. They went above and beyond and really got inside of the characters' heads and what was going on in that scene, and then making a whole song about it.
I was blown away on how well it was put together.
Still to come, the Christmas Story stars reveal their favorite scenes.
In my opinion, man, he's the original Bad Santa.
Stay with us. We're unwrapping the best when we come back. Welcome back to the cast of A Christmas Story. Where are they now? A Christmas Story is filled with moments that are both hilarious and heartfelt, and everyone has a personal fave.
My favorite scene has to be the Higbee scene with the Santa Claus, Jeff Gillen, who played the Santa Claus. You know, my opinion, man, he's the original bad Santa, if you ask me. The disgruntled Santa and the disgruntled, underpaid elves, that work there. And Patty and Drew, who played the two elves, just, they just nailed that part so perfectly. We had a lot of fun shooting it as well, except for the slide. Everybody asked me, did you really cry? I'm like, yeah, I was a big wuss back then when it came to stuff like that.
My favorite scene is when Ian actually had the authority to smash his face into his mashed potatoes.
You good boy. Show mommy how to piggies eat.
Every time I see it, his laugh is just so contagious.
It's got to be the leg lamp. If it weren't for the leg lamp, I wouldn't be here doing this. Who would possibly even think this was, something appropriate for the house? And let's put it in the front room window.
Turn off all the lights. I want to see what it looks like from the street.
I'll go get the dining.
Couldn't we talk this over?
Ralphie comes back, having suffered from soap poisoning, and he's blind. Because that, to me, was the same thing I would go through when I was 6 or 7 years old. My mom would be mad at me and give me a spanking, and I sit in my room crying and be like, I'll show her, I'll die, then she'll be sorry.
My favorite scene of the film is the Chinese restaurant.
Get the hole with
The Chinese guys singing were just hilarious. The fa-ra-ra is great. And the reactions of the family. It's a very family, wonderful scene.
I love the ending scene. The parents are sitting in the house and they're looking out at the snow falling, and then it cuts away the show, the house as the credits are going, and you just have, just the perfect image of the house that just hits home, sums up the whole movie.
That wraps up the cast of A Christmas Story. Where are they now? Want to stay closer to your favorite stars? Be sure to like TV Guide Network on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.